collecting deserves their own chain, a fast chain where we can onboard billions of users. We want to be that technology that enables digital collecting in the best way possible. Developers can just integrate it and use, for example, VeVe Collectibles if the licensor allows it. We're able to migrate 11 million collectibles in 5 minutes.
My name is Jan Collects, and I'm on the pulse of everything VeVe and Ecomi since early 2021. Here on my channel Collectively, I keep you updated on the latest insights and developments, all the way to deep dive conversations with the most important voices in the VeVe and Ecomi ecosystem. And today's guest is without a doubt one of the most influential voices when it comes to the future of digital collecting. He's the CEO of StackR, the marketplace that enables OMI-powered trading of your VeVe digital collectibles. And he also leads Collect, a next-generation ecosystem built to make digital collecting faster, more accessible, and more connected than ever before. If you ever wondered what digital collecting is truly heading, you're about to find out in my discussion with Dr. Collect.
Hey, Jan, a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Today, we're going to talk about StackR version 2 and the Collect chain. But before we do that, StackR and the Collect chain represent like a major step for VeVe and the entire digital collecting space. Can you give us some insights into your business career and like in your key experiences that give you the confidence that you can successfully like bring this vision to life?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I would start that I'm one of the types that are early adopters. So I adopted all sorts of technologies quite early, and that included iPhone, where I had the first iPhone. Within 1 month, I ordered the US model. And then I'm kind of like, when I'm onto something, I see the vision. I saw the vision of the iPhone. It was kind of not well received initially, but some people understood. And the same thing when I started to look at Bitcoin and blockchain, it was already in 2012, 2013. I think this being an early adopter helped to kind of see where VeVe or Collect Chain needs to be in 5 or 10 years. I still think we're early. When it comes to my business background, so I'm a founder of a data company where I was leading. I'm always like close to the product, but also close to our clients. So these are two things that I would take from the business world to Collect. And Collect is also Collect/StackR is now 90% of my daily work. It's my main project. We take it very, very serious, and similar to at my previous founded company where I worked with the CTO. With Collect, I'm also worked directly with the CTO. He's the most important person in that company. So I understand the blockchain things probably to 90% very good. And there's always some small things that are missing, but I can converse and talk to our CTO to make these visions happen, right? So I bring the vision, and we need someone. We need a technical team that is able to deliver on that vision, basically.
Yeah. So like the talent you get from outside, and then overall you have a perfect team to like build out the product.
Yeah.
But one thing on Collect Chain and StackR version 2 before we dive deeper into this conversation. Where's the difference, or is it like the same product?
Yeah. Look, so I think it started. I'm not sure when in summer when I started to use the expression StackR version 2. So we are already working on the blockchain deeply since it started in December last year when I hired the CTO and co-founder, and I wasn't able to talk about it. So a lot of the features that I was hinting, I kind of told everyone I'm working on StackR version 2. But so StackR version 2 and Collect Chain are essentially the same thing. So whatever I was hinting when I talked about StackR version 2 is Collect Chain. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where these two things come together.
Okay, perfect. That's like good to know, and I think a lot of the community members all around the world heard that here for the first time. But thanks for the clarifications on that front. But when we talk about the collect chain, why do you believe, or what was like the spark that like led you to create the collect chain? Like, why do you think that collecting needs a own dedicated collect chain?
Yeah. That's a very fair question. So um, I mean, there's multiple answers, and I start with something very simple. I think collecting deserves their own chain, a fast chain where we can onboard billions of users, and where the user can feel safe that they can only buy licensed original collectible, right? So in a way, we're a little bit policing the chain, so we will partner up with other companies than VeVe, and we make sure that everything that you can buy on Collect is authentic. I mean, that said, there's also other technical considerations. So we have a lot of functions built in our protocol, and down to the layer where we distribute the assets on a content delivery network. So everything is tied together. And honestly, there's a cost aspect. So we will need also cheap transaction where the user can, let's say, check in a collectible into a computer game, or check it out, or check it into the VeVeverse. All of these transactions will be visible on our blockchain explorer. So every collectible will get like a provenance, a history on how it has been used. And we're the content delivery network will also work very closely with the chain. And we really felt, and we want to guarantee royalties, we have to have opinions on bridging, on how you can transfer. This all prompted us to think about a little bit bigger, and that we need to be in control of certain things. And that's why at the moment, the only solution is that we have our own chain. And to also
Hmm.
make the licensors feel comfortable, right? So you can build something and then they say, "Oh, look, I don't feel comfortable there," and then
Yeah,
you build a protocol and they will not use it, right? So there's like a lot of these considerations that went into the process.
yeah, totally get that. You said like billion users. Is this the long-term goal, like to bring so many people onto the collect chain? And on that topic, you would need big projects, big licenses, etc. I mean, with VeVe, you already have a good partner in that. But why should other digital collectibles platforms, NFTs, or whatever other major licenses like consider migrating onto Collect Chain? What advantages does Collect offer that other blockchains like Ethereum, Base, or other layer 2 solutions maybe can't offer?
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that blockchains can be interchangeable, but we also see ourselves as a B2B2C
Hmm.
software company. And so it's a one-stop shop where you can upload your 3D assets. We are responsible that they're protected. We are responsible that only the users that paid for it can use it. So it's a we see ourselves more like a one-stop B2B shop.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's that. Sorry, I was just getting a call. Maybe can you repeat the last part? Sorry, I lost the thread for a
Yeah,
second.
no worries. Like, what advantages does or will Collect offer that other blockchains like Base, Ethereum, or other layer 2 solutions cannot offer for licenses or projects?
Yeah, obviously a good question. I think the one-stop shop aspect, that we
Yeah.
are hosting the assets, we are policing if the user can use it in his Lamborghini in a certain computer game, racing game. And that's something we only us can offer. And also, we want to enable licensors to sell the collectibles directly to the users, right? And that could be that in an online store of a licensor, instead of a physical delivery of a toy, we are the part that is responsible that this digital collectible is now delivered to the email of the user, right? And so there's a lot of aspects that services that we want to offer around this this chain, and the chain is the best database in a way, right? So the way users also feel they own something, they have the private key, they can connect with MetaMask, and they own it. So it's the best ledger technology where you can really safely feel that you own something. So that's why the blockchain is there. But maybe the blockchain is just 20% of the work that we're actually putting in, if that makes sense, into the project.
What are the other 80%?
Look, we want to release SDKs for Unity, maybe for other graphics engine where like developers can just integrate it and use, for example, VeVe collectibles if the licensor allows it. And so if you can also divide the blockchain, just the work to run a blockchain, that might be less work than running the protocol or developing these smart contracts, right? So there's all sorts of, but I think on the long run, once the blockchain runs and the protocol are established, more over 80% of the work is actually in all the other parts, working with the licensor, bringing the end user the real experience, finding computer games that want to work with us. So yeah, my vision is that there's going to be hundreds of computer games or AR experience or apps where you will be able to use those assets. That said, I mean, we are building the foundation that it's possible. I'm not promising anything when it comes to the start of the collect, that everything is possible, but we're building that foundation.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And also, I think like you said in the beginning, you've are the founder of a data company, and I mean, with the Collect Chain, you will have so much data that you can provide to projects and licensors. I mean, that would be a great marketing tool for them, right? So you could, just for example, no promises here, guys, but you hold like the whole golden moment set. That means, okay, Disney knows you are a hardcore Disney fan, so they could offer whatever experiences, airdrops, exclusive visits, whatever. Is that correct? Real quick, before we continue, I'm working hard to bring you guys the best guests in the VeVe and Ecomi ecosystem to this channel. And your support helps make it happen. So if you got value out of this discussion so far, please like, subscribe, share, and also let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And now back to Dr. Collect.
Yeah, I mean, that would be an offering where we would connect the chain with the client, right? That you need to build APIs, etc. for that. But yeah, this vision that you have is correct, and I would like to extend it. So there's something called the proof of attendance protocol, right? So where you can get a badge because you physically visited something. Let's say you're connected with a beacon in a stadium. Only when you're connected to that beacon, could be Bluetooth or some other technology, then you are allowed to mint a soulbound token onto your wallet. Now, picture, you can now communicate with users and you actually see that they have been physically on events. That gives you a completely different trust level. It could be, by the way, also Disney theme park, right? So now, if the user allows it, or you could basically start judging or getting more trust to a user, or Disney could say, look, this guy has been 10 times in our park. He has 10 badges. He's going to get a discount. Or maybe a football club could say, look, this is a really loyal fan, but we have 10,000 tickets for the away match. He is going to get priority for the finally, like there's so many things that once you kind of do it correctly on the blockchain, where brands could offer perks to the right people and not to the wrong people.
Yeah, which would in conclusion drive like their marketing spend way down because they already have
They
like the
can
perfect
target, yeah.
avatar,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, they could
nice.
target much, much better.
Yeah,
And it's also always voluntarily, right? So if you now want to have that perk, you will obviously want to show Disney or some other licensor or football club, hey, I'm a loyal fan. What can you give me for that, right?
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
how.
yeah. Totally get that. Okay, let's assume, yeah, like the vision, the long-term vision you laid out here, comes true over the next 5, 10, 15, whatever years. Like how would Collect ensure scalability? Because in that case, millions and millions, or what you've said, billions of users, assets, etc., could migrate over.
Yeah. I haven't done now the full math, but we tested already the chain and did some test migrations. We, for example, were able to migrate 11 million collectibles to our chain, to our test chain in 5 minutes or so, right? So
In
we
5 minutes.
process. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's
Wow.
two ways to do it. We include them all in a Genesis block, or we replay all the transactions. The replaying of the transaction actually takes, I think, 1 hour or two. If you remember when the IMX migration happened, I think it was 2 weeks,
Yeah, it
or
was.
maybe
Yeah, it was
three
tough.
million. Yeah, so
It
there
was
was
tough.
so we are probably by factor 100 already faster than IMX,
Hmm.
Immutable X. And look, the at the moment I think we're very optimistic to process 10,000 transactions per second. We have one of the best implementation, the Rust Ref client. So everything is written in Rust, and that gives the extra kick of the speed. So also when we have no shame comparing us to Base or other chains, so we can really fulfill on these transaction per second. So we're quite confident, and obviously over time this tech gets better, and then more would be possible. But I haven't done the math, but if you can do 10,000 transactions a second, you can onboard quite a lot of
Yeah,
users.
I
Yeah.
would say so too. That's not that bad. I mean, that's a lot. Um, you talked about the migration. I mean, so far we know that the migration of the VeVe collectibles should be in January. Am I right there?
Yeah, so I think we're aiming for the last 1 or 2 weeks of
Hmm.
January. Just also to give you some confidence, everything is running smoothly. So you can picture, no, it's no one sees it except us. It's already running live, right? I
Okay.
could open my blockchain explorer for our new chain, and I would see everything in parallel running. So we have done all the tests, but we have a very conservative CTO that wants to run more and more tests. But as far as I know, probably the third or fourth week of January is
Hmm.
the time when we officially will switch.
Yeah. Okay. And how it seems like you are confident that like the migration will be really seamless, but what would change for VeVe users? What
Mhm.
changes would they feel, if any?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So if you think about it, at the moment IMX is just the blockchain where VeVe has all those custodial wallets.
Hmm.
And we decided that in the phase one migration, we don't want to change that to really have a smooth transition or migration. This part will not change. So in fact, your IMX wallet address will be the same on our chain, right?
Hmm.
So if you can use basically our blockchain explorer in the future, and if you would then search for your address, you would see your ownership similar to when you were using Immutascan, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like, why am I so confident? Because I think we already test migrated 3 or 4 times. And
Hmm.
so the main changes that have to be done in that phase of the transition is actually on the VeVe side. Instead of, or additionally at the moment, instead of using the immutable API to move or transfer collectibles, they will use our API and move and transfer collectibles. It's technically different, so they're actually signing transaction and we're receiving those transactions. But again, we're testing it daily. We didn't have any problems, so we have quite a good confidence. And in that phase, nothing changes for the user. There will be a phase 2, and this is going to be a relevant phase. So once the marketplace protocol and everything is running smoothly on Collect Chain, we are confident that similar to StackR, which is a privy wallet, embedded wallet, that VeVe will also use this technology. And instead of, so you will still be able to log in with the same email address, but now you have access to your smart wallet, which is different to the IMX wallet, and all your collectibles will be in that wallet. So if you buy something, probably nothing will even then change, because you will just have gems and you buy a drop, and VeVe mints it to your new address, where you now have the private key that you can export. But you will also be able over time to connect with MetaMask, especially for the secondary market. There's no objection, I guess, in the future. And that's but so there has to be certain things happening on the VeVe app side, so that everything runs smoothly in phase 2. And in phase 1, there were just little changes. There was going to be a little bit more changes in phase 2 on the VeVe side. On our side, so on the Collect side, we are responsible that the marketplace protocol runs smoothly, that ensures royalties. We'll have some more functions, so maybe you will have a buddy list where you can transfer for free if the licensor allows it. And so we are adding some more functions, but with that same email address, you can now log in directly on Collect or StackR, and then you will have also access to all sorts of features, but there's no VeVe backend, VeVe API involved. So the source of truth from that point is 100% only the Collect chain. And that's when I would say now it's really truly Web3 with self-custodial wallets.
Yeah. What is like because in the community there are a few people who like are really, really like fragile about the FA tags, when was the collectible minted, etc., etc. And I mean, we've come from GoChain, then IMX, now we are also on Base, and then on the Collect chain as well. How will you guys assure that those tags or the transaction history will be assured?
So we are able to put a lot in our Genesis transaction. So basically the provenance of what happened on what chain, we can also have, we are aiming, by the way, for that on phase 2, so that the full history is also available on chain, right? So the only way to really do it smartly, so that we discussed this. So let's say goal number 1 is that the user can use our blockchain explorer and he sees everything what happens when it happened, right? But since our blockchain is starting fresh, there's going to be like, okay, this is what happened from whatever January onwards. Before that, the other things happened on other chains, and we have basically linked archives, host archive files. We will make sure that the provenance, the historical files are available. We will display them correctly on our blockchain explorer, and that's roughly what we can do. And we're gonna be honest about it. So these transactions happened on Collect, and the other transactions happened on other chains. So I think it's a UI UX problem also, because 99% of the users, they just want to see it on the blockchain explorer. But technically, we will somehow host that data very likely in the Genesis block.
Okay, so the VeVe collectible collectors can take a look at like all the data from the first minting to now.
Yeah, I would say for sure, since from immutable X times, I'm not sure what will happen to the Go chain part of it. That said, the data is there. It's more like in a database. So all the data is in a database, right? But immutable X was the first time that the users were publicly able to actually verify what's going to happen, what's happening on the chain. And that for sure we will replicate. I'm not sure, we haven't discussed what happens pre. But that said, in the metadata, everything is there, right? So there are data fields like drop date, when it was minted. So the data will be for sure in the metadata. I'm not sure if it will be in some sort of transaction history or not. It's not fully discussed. It's a phase 2 topic.
Yeah, totally fair. So you have like VeVe, I would say, as your first big client, as you can, and if you can say it like that. And if I understood you correctly, like the goal is to get other partnerships, other ecosystems in. But if you're able to do that, what requirements or like verification steps would licensors and creators need to meet before their IP could migrate over to Collect?
And you're talking really outside of VeVe at the moment, right?
Yeah. Other projects, other companies, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we first need to define in what type of assets we are primarily interested, right? So I think what we can host in the future is all sorts of media files. It could be music, it could be video as well, but also obviously the 3D assets. I mean, also JPEGs, that's also for sure. Um, we will talk to any project that is on another chain. If they want to migrate, I think it could be harder. VeVe has, or IMX now, we have the advantage that we can force everyone to migrate, right? I think the honest answer is we're probably more interested in future business. There will be a path for migration. But the only way that you can force a migration on an existing project on a blockchain, you have to kind of offer them some perks. It could be like, look, if you migrate from Ethereum to Collect, then you can now use it in 50 computer games, right? So maybe this could be an incentive for even for other traditional NFT projects to pay attention to our chain, because now if it's here and it's bridged, now you can use it in different applications. So this could be a path. But I think also like look at the collectible market is big. The physical obviously and the digital will grow every year. I think we will probably aim more for new opportunities, because I think there's a ton of new opportunities also.
Okay, what would be like the new opportunities you would be personally most excited about? What would be a project, a company, be that you are like, yes, I want them as a client on my chain, on our chain.
So yeah, look, we want to target licensors that already have a direct relationship with their clients, possibly their credit card data, so that they can offer the digital collectibles directly in their online store, right? And then, for example, instead of when you order a toy, you would now, instead of a physical delivery, you get it delivered to your email, right? And the goal would be that we can onboard this way much more users, because they are the articles are being sold directly in the online store, right, of that licensor. I think this is one of the ways where I mean, look, I'm also convinced about the movie use case where you can truly own a movie on Collect. That's something we would go for. I think there's enough movie collectors that really want to own it and just don't want to own it in a specific ecosystem on Apple or Amazon. I think there's like, I don't want to filter too much, but we can already see 20, 30 different use cases, and we have to see what plays out first, who's more willing. And at the same time, we have to develop the ecosystem to get interested apps that want to use those items, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one of my dream use cases is also ticketing. So I used to buy a concert ticket, right? And then you would hang it on your fridge. You cannot do that anymore, right? But why not why couldn't you have a ticket on the blockchain and it still looks like a physical ticket and in augmented reality, or you can hang it on your fridge virtually, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this stuff would work in many industries.
Yeah. I mean, on the part of ticketing, I listen to Raul Paul a lot about crypto and macro advice, all that kind of stuff, and he is also really big on ticketing. So that could be a really interesting route to go. But are there already talks with other other companies, etc., or is it currently just focusing on building the right infrastructure first?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. So we're heavily focused on the infrastructure, but behind the scenes, we already have some of these talks. They are a bit early because I think we will not onboard in the first 6 months of next year. Any company besides VeVe, but once the VeVe migration is fully done, we are basically ready for other projects, and these talks have to happen earlier. And yeah, I hope that we get some sort of, could be a football club that has, I don't know, 500,000 members. And if we can bring those type of licensors in the ecosystem, I think that will be a win-win
Oh yeah.
for everyone, right? So instead of 50,000 hardcore VeVe users or 20,000 that are really, all of a sudden we have maybe 1 million or more users on the chain, and they get attention, and then VeVe gets more eyeballs this way, right?
And I mean, most of them have some kind of fandom that is
Yeah.
probably already on VeVe.
If you think about it, I think Spider-Man, 95% of the people of global population knows Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a football fan, chances are 95% or
Mhm.
more that he
Yeah.
knows Spider-Man and maybe even likes Spider-Man. So I think that's the way I like to think about it. There will be always fandom of superhero mixed in the other crowds, and they
Yeah.
just have to discover it.
Yeah, I think so too. Because when I tell my friends about it, they are absolutely not into crypto, not into
Mm.
NFTs. But as soon as I show them like my 3D collectible in AR, they get it. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they definitely need to learn about the ownership part. I think there's a lot of teaching necessary for like the masses to understand that you really own something digital now, or that you can own something digital. But overall, I think that a lot of people will be interested in those kind of collectibles, etc. in the
agreed. Yeah,
future.
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. But you've mentioned that the Collect chain could enable VeVe collectibles to be used in games. So how would that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. So also I want to preface that we are building the foundation, right? Um, so technically it would work the following. First of all, this computer game that wants to allow that would use our SDK, implement that into the game, and then obviously it's a UX thing. So I open my racing game and then I want to connect to my Collect wallet. Basically, I want to prove that I own that Lamborghini that I want to drive there, right? At some point, there would be in the flow, you see a QR code similar to on Apple TV. If you want to connect with your Netflix, instead of typing in the password, you just use a QR code and
Mhm.
sign on your phone. This is the same flow I would envision. What happens now in the background? So you scan the QR code. Basically, the game now has the possibility to check if you own that item and if the licensor allowed that game to use that item, right?
Mhm.
And if both are check that it works, then our content delivery network would deliver that asset and give that game the decryption key to decrypt that asset, right? So
Yeah.
typically, our assets would be encrypted, but so that the game needs also the decryption key. And so basically, we are building the software, the infrastructure, so that these two checks have to happen. The user would literally have a Collect wallet. He can log into that Collect wallet with the same email address as he uses on VeVe, right?
Mhm.
Scans the QR code, waits a few seconds, and now the user can drive the Lamborghini. We would register that on the blockchain, and now it's even visible that the user used the Lamborghini in order maybe to for lap record, and maybe in the future we can even store some metadata around the game on chain,
Mhm.
right? So these are like a bit further down the line, but I can picture that this could be also an interesting feature if you see what happened in the past with that
Yeah.
collectible.
I mean, it would give the collectible directly more value if you see like, okay, this specific Lamborghini, to stay on the example, won like the Need for Speed tournament, whatever, like two
Exactly.
times in a row or something like that, right?
Yeah, you might want to pay a premium for that
Yeah.
Lamborghini. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, nice. So in the beginning, you clarified that StackR version 2 and the Collect chain is the same thing.
Yeah.
So I would be interested in, like, I mean, we've talked a lot about possibilities, about a few features, etc. But what personally excites you most? And another question before, will like the front end of StackR be the same, or will it be different?
So I don't want to hint too much, but let's say we're overhauling a lot
Mhm.
and want to unify the experience. There's still kind of two ways which we can go. One would be we bring StackR back to the root, and StackR just becomes a fantastic analytics website and delivers that type of value to the user. And we move the marketplace to our Collect
Mhm.
directly. So it's one option, and the other option is that we revamp the marketplace directly on StackR. So we're still not 100% decided.
Yeah.
But either way, I think it's gonna look a little bit different, and honestly, it will run smoother. So at the moment, a lot of the bugs, because we have to kind of connect with the backend, connect the blockchain with the backend. All of this is gone because now the user will sign transaction on the blockchain. The blockchain is the source of truth. Either the blockchain rejects the transaction or it accepts the transaction and everything is good. So
Mhm.
we foresee a lot of I think the user, it's fair to say that the user experience will change. We might want to allow credit card payments. So there's like a lot of features that also, especially the Web2 crowd that is maybe not so keen or doesn't need self-custody, will benefit, especially when they use our secondary market. I
Mhm.
think it's going to run 2 or 3 times smoother than right now.
Okay, nice, nice. That sounds great. And in terms of transactions and cryptocurrencies you could use in the Collect chain ecosystem. I mean,
Yeah,
you've in an early maybe in the AMA with O'Malley and Foster, you said
yeah,
you can use USDT, potentially Ethereum, then and there's also a OMI component in all that. Am I right there? And what kind of
yeah,
other cryptocurrencies might be integrated?
yeah. So I think so. I mean, we get some feedback, right? So especially bigger transaction, people don't like to use OMI. There's the fluctuation hurts even
Mhm.
more. I think 90% of the VeVe users would prefer to use the stablecoin, probably USDC.
Yeah, me too.
Um, but what that means is if we offer a stablecoin, we can still offer the burn, right? So nothing would
Mhm.
change on these tokenomics. I think that would be relevant to replicate it for the VeVe community, and then maybe offer, like, the user can decide you want to list US dollar and OMI token. And maybe one thing that maybe I didn't explain well, one of the goals is also that you can use your pay for the assets with different methods. I mentioned a credit card, but it's also possible, it's going to be possible that you have assets on a different chain, especially ETH and USDC, and then we can just directly use it. And yeah, that's kind of one of the ideas.
Yeah, I mean, that would open up so much liquidity, in my personal view.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
that would be great. So correct me if I'm wrong there, but it seems like on the Collect chain there will be, for every transaction, no matter what kind of currency, stablecoin, ETH, whatever, that there will be a burned component of OMI. Is that right?
I mean, this is how I would propose it, right? So,
Mhm.
and we can technically deliver that, and I don't see any objections currently why it wouldn't be done that way.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Totally fair. I mean, that answer is totally fine with me. Um, in terms of, I mean, on StackR, we nowadays see, like, for example, the weekly and monthly challenge. Do you plan to offer those kind of, I would say, community engaging activities more on the Collect chain, especially for like users who use and trade a lot, high
Yeah, I
engagement
mean,
users?
we have to offer perks for highly engaged users. That's for sure. So yeah, I mean, look, I would still like to run that the same leaderboard on Collect. And offer different loyalty perks.
Hmm.
Um, that's for sure. So there's a lot of that we would like to offer to our users. It's not finalized, this discussion, but I think it was a good idea to introduce it, and there's no reason why we shouldn't continue or expand this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Seems like a good driver for user engagement and time on
Yeah,
platform.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so one of the most important topics for a lot of VeVe community members is like self-custody.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a rough timeline when we maybe can see
Basically,
it?
yeah, phase two,
Hmm.
everything will become a self-custody technically. So that means if you have MetaMask and you don't want to rely on our embedded wallet, the Privy wallet, you can directly connect your MetaMask, buy and sell, and you own it in your MetaMask, right?
Yeah.
Um, Technically, and that's maybe relevant for only a few users, the Privy wallet is self-custody. You can export your private key, and worst case, when push comes to shove, access your collectibles like that. But some users might not see that as self-custody, but it's important that you can connect with other wallets and use them and store it there, right? And maybe because I also mentioned in the AMA, there is a new Ethereum NFT standard, the 732 no 721 C.
Hmm.
And the new projects are already kind of also restricting the type of transfers that you can do. One of the most common ideas at the moment is that you can only transact in the marketplace, right? So I'm just saying we can do a little bit better. So before that standard was implemented, we already thought about the rules. So
Hmm.
you own it, but there will be some rules about transferring it. If you want to transfer it for free, the person has to be in your buddy list. Your buddy list, you cannot edit maybe every day. There will be restrictions
Hmm.
on how you can edit. If it's your family, it doesn't change overnight, right?
Yeah.
So,
Let's hope not.
uh, and so maybe in general, we want to replicate also real world rules. So that's also hence you can only use a collectible in one location at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be in a second location. And maybe there's also a lending market where you can just give it to someone. You're still the owner, but now you can use my Lamborghini for a week. But after a week, I automatically claim it back. Could be also, I think it was what some users would like. We could have wallets with parental control where the kids get an allowance of 10 USDC a month that they can spend on the primary market maybe, or whatever the restrictions will be. And so these
And
are
also they
things.
are not allowed to sell those collectibles,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So exactly. So there's copper compliance. So the Americans have some rules around that, and obviously that would be the goal to be compliant to that standard. But yeah, so basically they cannot send money to someone else. That's kind of strictly not allowed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think these are things that will bring forward the digital collecting. And self-custody is basically a byproduct. Some people will love it and need it, and some people will have it without even knowing it. And they can still pay with a credit card. And we there's marketplaces like courtyard.io. People don't even notice that they are also self-custody. They can just pay with credit card, but then there's a button. I have some USDC somewhere. Okay, I can pay with that. And so it's really more the user experience so that we're focused on. But the perk is that everything is technically self-custody with once we start phase 2 with VeVe.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And also, like, for example, if for example my girlfriend creates a new VeVe account and I can send her over a collectibles for like a good start, as I understand correctly. I think that will be a huge step for onboarding new users, because in my case, like 10, 15 of my like friends and family would already got a Marvel Mighty or something like that, just to dip their toes into this new medium of collecting. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question, and that would be in terms of like the vision. If we fast forward 5, maybe 10 years, what would need to happen that you and your team would say the Collect Chain Collect would have truly transformed digital collecting? What is like your vision?
Yeah, look, I think the on-chain license agreement, we put a lot of thoughts in that. We want to protect the user, but also the licensor. And if it's a standard where the licensor can decide how the assets are going to be used. And I mean, we have truly succeeded if that protocol would be adopted widely without the end user even noticing. It's similar to if you use your Apple phone, there's a Unix operating system underneath. The Unix is a big success that no one knows of, right? So actually the goal is that it's so embedded in operating systems, the way we are working, that most people even don't know about us. It's just this thing that runs 100% in the background. Then actually we would have succeeded. If we don't need to advertise it, it's just being used. And I hope that we can convince some augmented reality provider, the hardware providers, that they can adapt that standard. And then obviously the way it would be used is almost invisible to the user. They don't have to know that they use the blockchain, right? So that's kind of how I'm thinking about success. It doesn't have to be in your face. It has to be used, right? And hopefully by then, in 5 years, maybe 7 years, there's a wide adoption of augmented reality. So that's kind of my favorite use case, where I think instead of running around with a phone, people will run around with augmented reality glasses. By then we will have 6G. 6G has below 1 millisecond latency, and and 1 gigabit per second transfer rate. I think what's going to happen is we will have just glasses that stream the video, the information, and the computation is done in the cell towers, right? So, and if we have lightweight devices, and now we have these AI glasses, so it seems like we're kind of going directly this is the path that we're going. And maybe in 5-7 years, it's completely normal. You sit there with your augmented reality glasses. Your buddy is next to you virtually, but not physically. Physically, he is in a different location, and you can play chess or have other sorts of experience. I think this could be the new thing that would benefit from this type of technology. And then we would have succeeded if people really use this for digital ownership our chain.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So, I don't have any more questions, but the question I would have, is there anything I haven't asked you that you would like to speak about in terms of Collect Chain?
Yeah, good one. I mean, I would be interested in all of the users, but also specifically you, what pain points can we solve with Collect Chain? So if you had a wish list and you see that certain things, what is kind of the top priority if you think about it? And that's also why we did like the survey. We are very interested in these type of feedback.
So guys, write it down into the comment section. I will definitely forward it to Dr. Collect so he gets another angle of what you guys want to see. And on my end, it would be definitely self-custody. Seems like it's done in a couple of months. For me, it would be like the ability to showcase my stuff, like in my room or something like that. For example, through my PC or some kind of digital frame. That would be awesome. And also like a big, I wouldn't say a big concern, but a concern. What if VeVe gets bankrupted? What happens to my collectibles? And in this case, it seems like they would be secured on the Collect chain, right?
So yeah, we want to offer immortal access to the collectible. So your collectible becomes immortal. And I'm very happy if we get feedback on what are maybe also like the low-hanging fruits that we should think of. For example, the other day I was discussing maybe we should have a driver for a camera, like an additional camera driver that you can install. And then maybe in the background here, I would have a shelf with my VeVe collection, and here in the live stream, I think maybe some users would like that, right? So that this would be technically possible. And again, if we find licensors that support that, and also like at some point we'll ask for help with development. Maybe we do some hackathon. I would really like the VeVe community to participate. Maybe the ones that have some experience with Unity engine could be a low-hanging fruit. And ideally, we built an ecosystem together where there's not two apps. Let's say now it's VeVe and VeVeverse. There's going to be hundreds, or let's start with 20 and 50 apps that the user can really use. Could be maybe just a screensaver that shows your collectibles. Could be on Apple TV, could be on Android TV. I think there's a lot of ideas, and I would be very curious to hear from the community what ideas they have. But yeah, look, I'm very grateful for the community. I mean, obviously, at some point 2-3 years ago, when the prices were higher, it was bigger. But I think also now, no one is really bothered anymore. Like we have the true collectors are now here.
Oh yeah.
And I think I want to kind of relate the message. We are very early, right? Because we are maximum kind of 5 digits, like real collectors, digital collectors. And I don't see why it shouldn't become, obviously billion is a high number, but everyone is a collector. I used to be collecting, like your kids can collect at every age. We want to be that technology that enables digital collecting in the best way possible. And obviously, I would be very happy to get all the help that we can deliver on that.
Sounds awesome. So guys, you've heard it here. Please write down in the comments what you would like to see in terms of what Dr. Collect mentioned before. And Dr. Collect, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. If you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. Collect, you will definitely enjoy my conversation with VeVe CEO David Yu or with Foster Hild, the community manager of Ecomi. And with that said, guys, have a good one and happy collecting.